Good afternoon. My name is Tim Richter, and I'm the co-founder and managing partner of RCOR Technologies, specialized IT support for the right IT services in the SMB market. Today, I'm going to talk to you about something that is very important to all businesses, large or small. That is cybersecurity. I know that you're probably on this webinar to help keep you and your company from the growing number of cyber threats that are out there today. It might be ransomware, like the recent crypto locker, bank and credit card fraud, rogue employees, regulatory compliance. The list goes on. It is almost impossible for the average business owner, office manager, or practice administrator to keep up with the ever-changing threats and still be able to complete their job. Yet, if your system goes down due to a virus or employee's mistake, it is potentially business closing. Now for the good news. Your risks for this happening can be eliminated or at least significantly reduced with a few simple things that you can put into place now. That's what we are going to talk about today. There are four main points that we'll be discussing. First of all, what is the number one security threat to your business? Antivirus, firewalls, other security protocols just can't protect you from it. What is cybercrime? Who are the main perpetrators and how do they occur? What type of protection do you really need? And why firewalls, antivirus software, and other forms are just not enough anymore. And the fourth thing we're going to talk about is the 8 protections that you can put in place right now that you can protect your business. What we're really going to help you with is to stop being a sitting duck to cyber criminals. Most of you already use mobile devices and cloud computing. Cloud services can be good, however, it can also open you up to potentially harmful intrusions. Recently, I was visiting a doctor's office who was having some trouble with their ultrasound machine. I noticed that the ultrasound technician was transferring files from one machine to another, but instead of using the encrypted data drive that she was provided with, she loaded a Dropbox account onto both computers. The problem that we have here is the Dropbox was a personal Dropbox. When I went to take a look, there was a folder that had her daughter's name on it. And apparently her daughter used it for her schoolwork as well. And she said, that's okay. She knows not to go into it. And I said, well, what happens if your daughter forgets her schoolwork at home to print it off? She says, oh, she just logs in at her school. And I said, well, you know, that probably isn't a good idea. And we had a nice talk about it, but what really hits home here is not only did this company have an acceptable use policy, but they went ahead and they had an approved procedure in place for this transfer. And the main problem here was that it was employee training and monitoring. They were opening themselves up to unnecessary risks. They were becoming a sitting duck for cyber criminals. At the end of this webinar, I will tell you how to get a free lunch and learn for your employees on cybersecurity and a basic security audit of your computers and network absolutely free. So let's get started with who I am and why I'm here talking to you today. My name is Tim Richter, and as I said, I'm the co-founder and a cybersecurity specialist at RCOR Technologies. My background includes IT and network security design for companies like Lockheed Martin, the US EPA, Duke University, and GlaxoSmithKline. I started my business more than 10 years ago because I saw that small to medium-sized businesses needed the same level of support that the larger Fortune 100 companies had, and it was woefully lacking. It has become my passion to deliver that same expert service to this market. And this webinar is how I can continue with the passion by helping you, the professionals here today in the Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill area, to protect yourselves and move your businesses out of the crosshairs of cyber criminals. So let's get started. What's the biggest threat to your business today? The one thing that all the hardware, software, audits, security protocols, and procedures cannot protect against? Ready? It's you. Well, specifically, it's actually you and your employees. So let's talk about how and why it's a threat. It was Andrew Grove, a former CEO at Intel, that said, "Success placency. Complacency breeds failure. Only the paranoid survive." What happens is most people become complacent with what they're actually doing, and they don't continue things like employee training, raising the awareness of not only staff, but working with your IT to help implement and maintain a consistent monitoring of any type of cybersecurity that you have. What do you say? We're small. Nobody would bother with us, right? Well, that's wrong. IBM in 2015, their Cybersecurity Intelligence Index, had set that cybersecurity is a major concern, and it is developing stronger and stronger foothold every single day. And that most companies looked at it and said, it's not going to happen to us. That's kind of dangerous thinking. If you say, why would anyone come after us? There's a good chance you may already be in trouble. So let's talk about cybercrime and how they occur. There are a lot of different types of malware, viruses, and hacking that can occur. The most common ones that you'll run into are things like phishing, which is a type of email where someone is trying to gain your username and password or confidential information by pretending to be the actual one who is the actual company. You may have received these from your bank, PayPal, places like that. There are also a lot of other ones, and we'll go through some of those. But let's talk about the evolution of crime. Way back when, it started out where it was two people. One was bigger, or one had a club, and they said, give me what you have. Then they became a little bit more sophisticated, and it became train robberies, where it was one or two, and there were many people that they would go from and steal. Today, data security breaches are a lot larger. There are hackings like eBay, 145 million accounts, Home Depot, 56 million accounts, JP Morgan Chase, 76 million. So it's one person or a small group that gain a lot. 80 million households and 7 million small to medium-sized businesses were hacked in the JP Morgan Chase Morgan. What are one of the reasons they go after these things? Well, you have things like on the black market, people are selling credit card details, and they'll get anywhere from $2 to $90. iTunes accounts, $8. Well, when you're talking that you're hacking 56 million accounts and you're getting $5 a piece, there's $300 million in revenue that the hackers would get. Small businesses are the low-hanging fruit because they really don't think they're a target. They really don't think that there is something there. And only 1 in 5 businesses fall victim to cybercrime each year, and that number is growing. Half of all cyber attacks are actually aimed at small businesses. Now, you might say, what's my loss? Well, there's reputational damage, loss of clients, class action lawsuits, individual lawsuits, legal fees, compliance lawsuits, replace of data, downtime, loss of productivity. Just because you're a small business doesn't mean that your customers' information is any less valuable to them. What are you doing to be a good steward of that information? So let's look at why firewalls and antivirus software just aren't enough anymore. There are 82,000 new malware threats being released every day according to PC World. Let's break that down for a second. That's one every second. Most antivirus and anti-malware software updates every 15 minutes on your computer. That means over 850 threats were out there before your antivirus or anti-malware software actually did its job and would catch it. And that's if it found those and it updated those. Social media is another very, very big security risk. And it also takes time away from your employees' productivity. What you see on the left here is what's called a phishing email. It, again, is an attempt to acquire sensitive information, usernames, passwords, credit cards, by masquerading as a trustworthy entity. And again, usually it's email-based. Now, if we look at here, 600,000 Facebook accounts are hacked every single day. That's 7 every second. Another big thing is social media being a time waster. If you look at where you have 20 employees, each earning around $30,000 a year, and they spend, again, 40% spend under 1 hour, 29% spend 1 to 2 hours a day, and so forth, you're talking that that's thousands of dollars that your business is just losing every single month in lost productivity. One of the largest kinds of viruses that are currently out there right now is ransomware. Now, there are a lot of businesses that say, hey, my antivirus is taking care of it. My other types of security are taking care of it. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's not necessarily true. I received a call from a company, it was a physician's office, and they told me that one of their documents on their desktop said "not encrypted" after it. They had the newest antivirus. They had phishing, and they had anti-spam and anti-malware. Well, the particular version of ransomware that hit them was something that was created about 10 to 15 minutes before it actually hit them. What they lost is they lost just one of their access servers because of some quick thinking, and they immediately turned off their data that is patient related. But it still cost them over $5,000 to get the recovery and to make it right again. If they would have had a data breach, or they would have had it hit one of their main servers that did their electronic medical records, it would have been even greater. So how much of your company's data is out on rogue cloud applications? Dropbox has been hacked many times. Let's go back to that ultrasound tech. She was not thinking about the fact that maybe not only could her daughter accidentally go in or intentionally go in and look at the patient data, which is security and a HIPAA violation, but her account could have been hacked, and that data could have been all over the internet. And that's the biggest issue with medical practices and legal practices and any other company that has personal data, is your reputation. Because many of the times you mandatorily have to actually go and you have to report this to the media so that people know. That's part of your compliance regulations for your credit card, for electronic medical records, and that is very, very harmful to you. And like I said, you probably use cloud tools right now, but are you actually managing what your employees are using? Mobile computer dangers are on the rise. If a device is lost or stolen, the data is not encrypted, your company is responsible. We can see here that Morgan Stanley had to pay $1 million fine for one data breach. Spam is one of the big things that you and your employees can work with. Yes, there are anti-spam programs, and there are a lot of good ones, but things slide through. Some of the biggest data breaches are just from one person double-clicking on a single email that links them to a website and downloads a file to your network. So how do you protect yourself? Well, we're going to talk real quick about 8 security protections that you can implement right now so that you can protect your business better. I like to think of security as an onion. There are multiple layers, and you peel off each layer before you can get to the actual fruit. Number 1, employee education and, of course, an acceptable use policy. Implement an employee training plan right away. We can make this easy. Sign up each one of your employees for our security tip of the week, and we will send out a security tip that helps them start the process. But that's not good enough, you actually need to have regular training sessions with your employees that go over what's acceptable and what isn't, and the latest security threats that are there. Implement an acceptable use policy. We'll be making a template available at the end of this presentation, so stay tuned. Number 2, require strong passwords and passcodes to lock your mobile device and encrypt them. Do you have a password on your phone? Is it only 4 digits? Is it 6 digits or 8 digits? Is your password your anniversary or your first name with a capital letter? These are just unacceptable. And you'll see that hackers will constantly hit your system and they'll guess these. The strong passwords should be everywhere, including websites, and people should not be writing down their passwords. There are a lot of good password utilities where your employees can log in with one password and get access to all their other ones so that they can set up very secure passwords on websites, your document management, your electronic medical record, any piece of software package that you have. Again, mobile devices, put a pin, keeps your data private. I don't know how many times I've seen a phone sitting at a table next to me while the 1 or 2 people get up and either leave to do something, or it's a single person and they've left to go to the bathroom or to pay their bill, and there's a period of time that their mobile device is just sitting there. Number 3, keep your network and devices patched and up to date. Windows in the past year has stopped supporting Windows XP and Windows Server 2003. We're finding that many practices and many businesses still are using that, and there are no patches, and hackers know what they can do to get in. But even the newer operating systems like Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, all of the servers up to Windows 2012, you're going to have to patch them every time patches come out, because a lot of times it's the hackers who have already been in systems that notify Microsoft and say, okay, we're done, we found another way in, so we found another exploit, so let's let Microsoft know and patch the old one. There's a lot of third-party software in addition to Windows itself. You've got Java, Adobe, iTunes, Flash, your firewalls, routers, printers, switches, phones, and apps. The list goes on. All of them need to be updated on a regular basis. Number 4, have an excellent backup and test it regularly. The company that I went to that had the problem with the CryptoLocker ransomware virus, they actually needed the server to be completely reinstalled and completely set up. It was one of the servers they had decided that they didn't need a backup. However, their main servers, they did have a backup. And if you have a backup, you need to test it regularly. In Chapel Hill, there was a pediatrics clinic that actually about 10 years ago had their backups running and never tested it. Lo and behold, when the time came that their system went down, they couldn't recover. Let me give you another example. I went into my dentist about 6 months ago, and he and I were chatting about his computer services and his computer network, and he said, yeah, one of my RAID drives went down and my computer just crashed when I came in. And I said, wow, were you able to recover from backup? And he said, well, I was paying for backup off-site every single month. And I called the guy who was supposed to be handling it, and his phone was disconnected. I tried his website didn't work. Yet here was my dentist who was paying every single month to have a backup. If he would have required them to test it regularly and send the results of that test, he wouldn't have had a problem with that. Including testing, you need to make sure that there is a copy sent off-site, because if you just keep all of your backups on-site, if there's a fire, that's it. Test at least monthly, and protect against deletion, corruption, and ransomware by setting up correct rights. Not everyone should be able to read and write to everything. Don't allow employees to access company data with personal devices. You don't know where those devices have been. You don't know what software is on those devices. I mean, it's really attractive for you as a business owner or office manager to go and to be able to have your employee purchase or bring their own laptop or phone in and utilize it. But again, you don't know what software is on there. When you allow them access to corporate email, which has corporate data in it, you should always set up a remote wipe without permission if lost. So you can go in as administrator and remove the email from there, so any personal data is still there, but any corporate data has been removed. Number 6, get a solid UTM firewall. What this is doing is this is saying that you need a firewall that doesn't just take and block the communication between your network and the rest of the world, but it has built-in scanning for intrusion detection. In other words, it tells you if someone's trying to get in. It has virus scanning. It has content filtering. It has all of these functions that are routinely protecting your computers from the internet. Number 7 is spam filtering. Believe it or not, some places still don't have spam filtering, or they use an inferior product that allows spam to get through. Remember, most of these malware and CryptoLocker and phishing attempts all come through the email. There are other ways too, through websites, but email is one of the big ones. Number 8, control which websites your employees are accessing. That's called content filtering, and your firewall should do it as well. Or you can have another site do it, but this will allow you to protect your network by having websites that are known problems not be accessible from any computer within your network. So what you're going to do is you're going to block the malware sites before they're actually there. And you're going to boost productivity because it's going to block time-wasting things like social media. The bottom line is you need to get serious about protecting your company against cybercrime. So how do you do that? Well, let me tell you the 3-step plan. First, a threat assessment. What this is doing is this is taking your current system and saying, what are the security areas that I can improve on? What can I do to make myself more secure? Whose job is it to protect my network? Are you currently being exposed? Are they doing their job? Do I have a true backup? Is it being tested? And so forth. Second is you take that evaluation and you create an action plan. Based on what you discovered, you make sure that you have everything in place and you put them in place immediately. And then another, probably the most important thing, is ongoing maintenance. And this is not set it and forget it. Your adversaries, if you will, or the attackers, are not sitting still and saying, oh, we didn't get in this time, so we'll just ignore that and move on to someone else. No, when they find a new way in, they try it. Now, what you can do is take the plan. You can do it yourself, which is more complicated because you know your job. However, computer security changes every single day, so it becomes complicated and confusing. Or you can outsource it, which is simple and easy because you have security experts, people who are trained and continually updated that can do it for you. So let me help. If you sign up in the next 15 minutes, we'll come to your office and we'll conduct an employee cybersecurity lunch and learn, as well as a threat assessment where we'll perform a 59-point inspection, provide a detailed report of findings, and go over an action plan. You're not obligated to use us. You're not obligated to go and do anything where that's concerned. We will go and we will do that. But more importantly, that you will have us training your employees free of charge. There's 3 things you need to know about this. First is due to the staffing and constraints, I can only do this discounted audit to 8 local businesses. There's absolutely no obligation to buy or do anything on your part. You're just going to be receiving our training, and you'll be receiving a report of our findings. And if you'd like us to help you, we'd be happy to, or you can move on yourself. This is by application only. I want to make sure that I actually can help you before we book the consultation. If you'd like to sign up, go to rcor.com/lunch. Now, if you would like to receive the free acceptable use policies that you can use right now that will help you to set up what boundaries your employees are actually supposed to be following and put out there exactly what you need for security. It is very simple. It can easily be customized. Just send an email to freeaup@rcor.com and I'll gladly send that out. Thank you.